Hey everybody, Cliff Barron from Remax here, doing my weekly update for the real estate markets in Milton, Georgetown, and Glen Williams for the week of June 28th to July 4th. But before I get there, I'm going to give another tip. I've seen recently a lot of listings showing irrevocable 24 hours, irrevocable 48 hours on the listing, and I've had a few clients say, what does that mean? Because they've never seen that before. Well, what that means is when you put an offer in, say you're offering $600,000 on a property, you're basically saying to the sellers, you have 24 hours to accept my offer. In the old days, before DocuSign, before electronic signatures, we used to put 24 hours in because one of the husband or the wife was working shift worker, and it was harder to get a hold of them because back then we used to do a lot of stuff in person. So we would put 24 hours irrevocable, if they're maybe up north or something like that, to give them time to get to a fax machine in the old days, but or to get home from work, to get settled, and then we can negotiate the offer. But now it's completely different. It's this is actually a negotiating tool right now. 24 hours irrevocable and 48 hours irrevocable basically means the seller is trying to get, or the seller's agent is attempting to get multiple offers on the property. So in other words, if you show a property, you really like it, it's a hot property, it just came on the market, and you put an offer and you're thinking, okay, I'm going to go on full price, they might say, okay, thanks for the full price offer, but we want 24 hours to think about it. And in that 24 hours, they're going to try and get other offers from other people. It can backfire, but it's kind of an underhanded, sneaky kind of, well, not necessarily underhanded, but kind of a way of promoting multiple offers. And in my opinion, you're better off just saying offer date X day, you know what I mean, and give it more time. 24 hours is not a lot of time to get a lot of offers from people. And if you do have a hot property, I think you should wait a little bit longer and get more money in the end. But what do I know, But anyways, okay, getting to the sales for Milton and Georgetown for the weeks of June 28th to July 4th. Milton first. In 2019, we had 50 sales. In 2020, 36 sales. So sales are still doing pretty good. They're down a little bit from last week. The week before we had it was around 40 sales. So we've come down a little bit. Prices are about the same, but it's still very active. So and as far as ratio goes, we're still up there. We're not nothing compared to last year, but we're doing better. We're holding our own. 15 sales of towns, average is 704, which is basically the same as last week. 7 sales, semis sold for $768 on average, 4 days on the market, and 14 detached at 1.154, which is high because there were some bigger properties out on Steeles that sold, and that kind of skews the figures a little bit. But the encouraging thing is the days on the market are low. 7 days on average for a town, 4 for a semi, and 21 for a detached. And the interesting thing is all those semis sold over asking. The average was over asking, and the towns are selling at 100% of asking price. That's encouraging. And then we look at condo sales. We had 7 condo sales, and the average condo, believe it or not, in Milton is $544 right now. This is across the board, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, even 3 bedroom, but $544. That's what they're going for now, and 14 days on the market, which is pretty quick because whenever you sell a condo, you have to provide a status certificate, which takes 14 days to get. So in other words, condos are selling like that. They're selling very fast. And we had more sales of condos last week than we did the week before, which is also interesting. Then we move on to Georgetown, and this is really interesting because we had 14 sales in 2019, the previous week, and then in 2020 we had 18 sales. So we've actually increased. We've gone up since over last year, which is really, that hasn't happened since early March. Which is good to know. And interestingly enough, there was two sales of townhouses, 647 average, which is kind of low, but they were lower end townhouses, and a lot of the smaller detached sold. The average detached sold for 802, and 8 days on the market. They were almost all detached at smaller ones. 16 sales of detached. So that tells me that the smaller ones are moving, and the reason why they're moving is people are moving up to the more affordable, smaller detached from the semis and towns, and they're still coming in droves from Milton and Georgetown and Brampton. Well, Milton and Mississauga and Brampton, and Georgetown as well, and not as much, mostly from out of town coming to Georgetown. anyways, that's it. I'll do another update next week. And next week I'm going to give some pointers about hiring an agent, the questions you should ask. And that's going to be an interesting one, I think. Anyways, so any questions, give me a shout. Let me know. DM, PM, email, old-fashioned phone call. I'm always around. Cliff Barron from Remax. Talk soon. Take care.